let's see if I'm streaming. I don't know if I'm streaming or not. My computer is going funky on me. Let's open this. See what's going on here. Let's see what's going on. I want to see if I'm streaming. Well, let me see my thing. There's more ways to skin a cat. More than 2 ways to skin a cat. I am frustrated. Okay, I am live. Alrighty. Okay, I'm good. I'm streaming. I can't see it on my mine, but I'll have to turn around and do something about that. I am streaming. Hi, it's Marie. I have a few things on the table to go through. Let me just see something. Docs. Chat. Here. Let's put this up. Just in case I get somebody. Alright. We're gonna do all chat. It's a very nice day out today, and this is the paper we will be going over later on. It's called Potatoes, Nutrition, and Health. I decided that I want to do something worthwhile, and I wanted to show everybody how I get my information about different fruits and vegetables as opposed to just going on any old website and reading about it. So that's going to be a little later on. Right now I want to show you the weather. Today it's gorgeous out. Oh my god, the kids are playing, and it was like 78 or something out with the weather today when I last checked it. So it's pretty warm out there, almost up to 80. Yeah. And then Wednesday, tomorrow, it's going to go down a little bit cooler to 69, around 69, 70 again, but it's going to be partly cloudy. Then on Thursday, it's going to be partly cloudy, 77 around there. Then, and this is in Vernon, Connecticut, and in the evening, it's supposed to have a few thunderstorms, so if you hear rumbling out there, it's okay. It's supposed to happen. And then Friday, it's going to be a little bit cooler. It's going to be around 68, 69 again, you know, like Wednesday, but it's going to be partly cloudy. Saturday is supposed to be a little bit breezy, and it's supposed to be colder. It's getting colder. 64 degrees out is supposed to be the high, with a little bit of rain showers and wind, a little bit of wind, a little breeze. Sunday, happy Easter. It's going to be Easter. That's going to be the coldest day so far. And the temperatures are going to dip. I guess Mother Nature is a little bit bipolar, but not much this time. And then Monday, it should be going back up. But, you know, the weather's always changing, and, you know, this is going to change anyways. Now, I want to go to my Intuit dream. I had a dream not too long ago. Let me move this so that I can read it. I dreamt of this bus incident, and this bus incident was around February 19th. And there were people in the bus. It was a bus or something like a bus, like a, you know, I even looked up the subways. I looked up trains. I looked up planes. I looked everything up when I had the dream, because sometimes I have Intuit dreams. And this is one that really bothered me. And what happened was I can remember the dream. There's a man in the seat in front of me, two men in the seat, and there was two men, not just one. And then there was something like a package or a stroller like in front of one, and there was something in there, and I'm like, well, what's in there? It started smoking and stuff. And all of a sudden they just ran, and I was like, there's gonna be a fire on the bus. A fire on the bus? Yeah, we gotta get off the bus. Get off the bus. There's gonna be a fire. Well, today I turned on the news and look what happened. It wasn't a bus fire, it was gunfire. And in the article that I read this morning, it did say that there was people filming smoke. Okay, I did see smoking in my dream. Uh, they did say they have reported a few multiple undetonated devices were also found. And then there's a group of firemen just like I saw. So, in the dream, everybody was crying in despair. It was hard. And it really upset me. And it upsets me to know that I dream this stuff and all of a sudden I can't do it. I can't do anything about it. I don't know where it is, when it's going to happen. I mean, I spoke to my psychiatrist today about it. And she knows me well enough to know that I'm not delusional in that way. I'm delusional in other ways, but not in this way. And, yeah. This dream really got to me, just like the other ones got to me. I dreamt of the rodent murders, and I did dream of the grammar school shooting in Connecticut, next to the New York border. Forget what town that's in, but I dreamt of I dreamt of the state and the area and the shape of the school and children in their filth. We discussed it today, and she asked me what I would call it, and I said Intuit, probably. Not psychic, not... She asked me, because I said to her, I've had dreams where dead relatives were in the dreams, and the living relatives were in the dreams, and then the next day, living relative would pass away, and I've come to try to be okay with these dreams, especially with this type of thing, where people are shot and murdered and killed. To think that maybe if we are met on the other side, what near-death experiences, some people say that they're met by their loved ones. Maybe loved ones here on this side can actually help cross over too, as far as when you're dreaming about it. The other thing that my therapist and I discussed today was maybe the fact that I've been through traumatic experience, and I've lost I lost my parental unit when I was younger, that maybe I have a certain connection with the children that are involved in all these things, by losing my parental unit. I mean, I didn't lose, my parents weren't dead. They, my mother was in a coma, and my father, he ran. And but maybe I'm connecting because of the children. I don't know. My thing is I dream about this stuff a lot. I can tell you what buildings look like and stuff. Sometimes what people look like. I know there was two here, not one. And they're saying one, but I know there was two men. See, smoke from those two seats the two men were in. So that's where I saw the two men were in. There was smoke from those seats. So maybe it meant the gunfire. I don't know. Guns, they let off smoke. I don't know. But they said they found undetonated devices too. And so, excuse me, you can't take something like this to a police officer and say, this. It's not admissible in court, but it's also not cold hard facts, so They want hard facts. You don't just sound like you have three heads when you do it. So I'm at a loss as to why this happens to me. It probably happens to everybody because we're all energy and motion, and we all feed off each other's energy. So maybe that's what was going on. I don't know. Okay, now I want to discuss also my medication. Is doing great. I have this recent eye twitch in my, excuse me, in my left eye that I'm watching because that's one of the side effects the Abilify can do is cause different twitches. However, if it's just an eye twitch, I'm trying to figure out whether or not I can live with it because I do like the change in my concentration and my comprehension and my being able to read and actually talk to people and let people talk. That's where I'm at there with the medication. Other than that, I'm fine. I'm communicating way better. So, yeah, excuse me. So, let's see. Sims in the news. Okay, my Sims. Here's my Sims. Here's where they're at. Okay. They're not at anywhere. My house is built. Okay, here's my house. It got expanded on, as you can see. It's still a little yellow house in the country, like I want. A little yellow house in the country. However, it's getting a little bit more pricey to handle. Marie, let me put this up here instead. Let's see. Marie took 2 classes and she graduated with 2 classes with A+ both. So she now signed up for 4 classes and I'm having trouble keeping up. Excuse me, I'm not a tired person right now, but apparently my body's deceiving me. So, anyways, Marie's now taking up 4 classes instead of 2. We're gonna graduate her with her culinary degree, and then I'm gonna go on to get a gardening degree or something like that because I want her to be an expert in gardening so that she can use that for her culinary experience as well. And like I said, there are going to be generations hopefully in here, so she's going to be grandma and she's going to be the cook. Maybe pass down her knowledge to these individuals. Zach has been promoted. He is now starting a bodybuilding career. I didn't do the path of the sports person. I did the path of the bodybuilding. He's on his way. He's doing great. That's all he wants to do basically is freaking exercise. I'm trying to get these 2 married, but I can't even get them to fall in love too much. They had their first kiss and that was just it. So, maybe that's a good thing. Because I don't want a boyfriend right about now. So there's one that asked me out this week. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet because there's issues a little bit with that. Not much, just a few minor things. So, with that said, I moved the garden. I gave him a new kitchen. And Zach has his own workout room. I figured if he's going to be a bodybuilder, he might as well have the bodybuilding apparatuses at home. And she's got the kitchen, for her thing. And then he's going to want, he actually expressed a desire to get not a tub. Oh God, a pool. So here's a second look at the house. It's really nice. I didn't include the picture. I like the fact that you can see in these windows. I'm kind of a perv with that. I think it's kind of neat. The graphics and stuff with this is totally amazing to me. And they're supposed to have Sim 5 is supposed to have better graphics, but I don't know if that's out or even. Alright, there's my pond, but because I, cheat and I do move objects, and I'm trying to build again. My swan and stuff keeps on getting put into my cache. So, and they're on the left-hand side of the thing, so I think I'm just going to put them on the right-hand side, and the ducks too. The ducks keep getting taken off of there too. It makes me mad, but oh well. All right, and then here's my garden. I cleaned it up. I put everything in a row. When they garden, when they plant it off everywhere but the way you want it. So I have to go in and fix it up and make it nice and neat. And then of course you got the bees. The bee house has to be a certain amount away from the crops to work. So if I put more crops on this side, I'm gonna have to probably get another bee house. Okay, so that's the garden. Here's the workout room in the kitchen. As you can see, the kitchen's huge. And then the workout room is huge. I put myself in the way of the workout room. They got some cool things. Okay, what's the next thing? Oh, I gotta open all those. Okay. We got a maid. We got the, see, those are the ducks. But that, not a maid. That isn't a maid. That's a butler. She's living. And then we got the ducks for the pond, my swan for the pond. And there she is. She's shrooming. She's growing mushrooms. All right, so what I want to do now is I'm going to play the video for you. And I'm going to shut my trap for a little while. And let you just listen to it. I can't really listen to it because I can't pull up the screen. So here's the video of the day or couple days.
Thursday or Naboo? That's pretty. Prospect. That's Simasiba. Come on. Every Bobia. Yeah, Pinterest. Magalazi. Okay. You got all Boro swim. Aww.
Dufka! Scabia Rendo! Darja! Morda! Haribu! Taka! Kenna! Za! Tree! Tukat! Haribu! Junker. Shit. Don't touch. Ah! Woo! Junker. Sa, tree. Just trouble.
Namaste! Lumis! Instadorban! Palachavas, feast on sea. Espana, Arabe. Zubao, Conan Edinburgh. Moslapa, Goya Plevasta. Espanath Shishi, Slutty Sim Bozy, Shanisi Go.
Ooh, Jatsabu. Shaby Boo Galant.
Singapore.
Boosh. Luna. Rom. Seneca Fanade. Fistful Bernina. Rib Saquinario. Omafu. Gamu. And Deercoy. Chinosa Vomit. Mildew Fruits. Berengava. Uma. Club Takeout. Granoy Barbs. Calcapino.
Luchi Peach. Mona Corbo. Dark Zima. News. Love. Dane Ship. Same
Oh. Wahaliki.
Banana.
Maybe Kobe. Sir. Verpasa Essenor. Tropa. Kahushu Foibi. Nerkska. Sherard. Mozani. Sabine. Saquinario. Sabar.
Bonita Fuina. This. Aroga Avenor. Give it to me.
Sleep Bloom. Exy. You're not. Live on Pusha. The Fala Fredoy. Yanbi Yanka. Zilnoy.
Shisna. Dope. Hanabi.
Oh, Torg.
Sahibine. Hapiam. Ezene.
Bratsa Fusil. Eniruja Sapa. Kalindi. Jimisimas. Unga Broshu.
Gabo Mooney Hitch.
Flazzle Pelka.
Turnoy.
Bayumi.
Gibbs. Supao. Ronan Edinburgh. Espana. Arabe. Truxnebe. Singapore. Yeah, besen. We'll be tough. Risham. trip. Escafene, spinner, Philofima, Walmart.
Left out.
So, calm down. Do this for real. For real now. Dude, man. Have a deal. Quite a bit.
I always laugh at when she's putting the stuff on the board. She's hurts herself with the thumbtack. All right. I have an issue now I want to talk about. It's on Kevin's Discord again, and this is the example I want to show you. Main Pain, you know, sent this out. If he didn't want it to get out, he shouldn't have sent it to everybody. He shouldn't have mass-produced it. I don't like this. I think it's wrong to do unless you have concrete proof of things. And what he accuses Kevin of is a major thing. So I wanted to draw this to everybody's attention. I'm an advocate for suicide awareness, and I advocate for victims of domestic violence. And I think when somebody is accused of it, it should be fairly accused of it, where there's concrete proof and evidence that you have. Now, I am bringing this to your attention because, A, Kevin doesn't deserve this. Kevin is bringing us things from the news. He was accused in one of my other streams of being a man who preys on elderly women for donations. And that was totally false, because I know for a fact, I mean, I contributed, but he's mainly invested more in me than I have in him. And I'm up there in age. Now, Kevin would give you the shirt off of his back. He's good to his wife. I don't think his wife would put up with any crap. Okay, now, Main Pain. What happened was, there was a viewer that came in the room, and I saw it, and was talking about how their sister or friend got abused by their husband. And it was totally off topic, and me and Kevin have discussed this at length, to where I get off topic and he wants me to stay on topic. One of the reasons why I have the wrench is it helps me to stay on topic. I watch what Kevin's saying, and I try to pick out bits and pieces that I can share, so that I'm not spamming the room with just my personal chat. So Kevin really wants things to stay on topic, and my heart went out to the woman. But honestly, what's happening in the room in general chat of the Discord, sometimes I have a hard time believing what's going on in the chat in YouTube. Why? Because you have these people that are online abusers. And yes, online abusers. People have a high suicide rate when they're abused online. People are also, an online abuser will lie to get a certain reaction from a person that's online and fabricate situations. So unfortunately, when that woman came in and said that stuff about her sister or her family member being abused, it was, hard to distinguish whether or not they were telling the truth. Of course, there are many very beautiful people in there that consoled the woman. Because I don't trust people have lost my trust in that Discord big time. I'm not going anywhere in the Discord either. I'm working for Kev, so I'm staying in the Discord. And now I have a purpose, so, you know, it's not... This stuff needs to stop now. It's not about me. It's about Kevin. And I feel it's wrong. Now, it's sometimes I call what I just said, you know, going into a chat room and it's fishing, baiting the hook. Let's see what they're going to say. They baited the hook on Kevin or on me. It's one of the two, because the other day I was talking about domestic violence in the main general chat, and there was a very negative response to it by a couple people. And I'm not playing those games anymore, so you might as well fucking give up. Excuse my language. So, Main Pain sent this whole thing out to a lot of people, and it's already been in general. It's pretty disgusting. Okay, that it's even being shared, so I'm sharing it too. It's disgusting. Comment by viewer on Kevin's stream. I haven't wanted to talk about it, but my daughter was almost beaten to death by her fiance. Does have a history of violence and also 2 modern jabs. Kevin's answer: look, I am in the Sean Connery school. Sometimes the ladies need a W slap, but we should stick it to Islamic law. Make sure that they are available for resale, so the body shots only, and they don't have to boot you like a UFC fighter. Ah ha ha ha. Can we say so much? Can we establish those rules? Do you condone this? Listen, I don't even think Kevin condones it in a serious manner. But honestly, I think he felt like you were baiting him. He was being baited, and so he was being sarcastic. Kevin is not a wife beater or slapper. Now, all right, you sit there and put all this out, expect to get people upset. My response to him, okay, and I'm letting this out. My response to Main Pain was the following. Dear Main Pain, I understand your concern. However, I do not understand why you are sending this to me. If you or anyone else has a problem with Kevin, should not you be discussing this with him? I'll never understand this. I want you to know something that happened to me in Kevin's general chat the other day. The conversation went towards addiction. You know, my husband abused me. I already said something, and my husband is dead because of his alcohol addiction. I was having a nice chat with someone, passing the time, before I got word from my boss on the next project. I shared my story with this person. There was actually 4 people that were discussing it. Now, 30 minutes after that discussion, after I shared everything, somebody decided to chime in and start making rude comment about me doing this. They were not involved in the chat, nor were they posting during this chat or even before the chat. The discussion did not interrupt the flow of anyone else's discussions. In other words, yet they were being quite obnoxious and rude. Why? Lord only knows. I do not know who is behind the name that is doing it, or nor do I want to. And I posted what I had said up in the room about why I talk about being abused by my husband because of his alcohol addiction. Okay? Alcoholics, when they're full-blown alcoholics, are the same across the board with their narcissistic-like personality abuse. Now, like I said, I advocate for abuse victims. I was in chat during the time the lady entered the room making that statement, as I was very careful. Why? Because of the fishing that is going on. What do I mean? Baiting. Yes. Where a comment is put out there for another to react to, so that they can be jumped on and a target of online abuse. You do know I am an advocate for suicide awareness, right? Do you know how many suicides there have been due to online abuse in the world? Do you know that some people do lie about their situations to get another to react in a negative way towards them just so they can continue their abuse? It's a game people play. When that woman came into the chat and mentioned the abuse, my heartstrings were so tugged you wouldn't even know. I didn't know if she was telling the truth or not because of the people in this Discord using different names. No one knows who they are to be sneaky and to get information and to bash others. This has happened 3 times to me since 2 years ago being a raccoon. I say something, then a day or 2 later in Kevin's live stream, someone comes in and spews something on the topic and I react and get bashed for it. I've had enough of the games. I've had enough of Terry's shit to last me a lifetime. She plays men all the time to get them to do her dirty work, then sits back and just laughs at the trouble she has caused. You are accusing Kevin of something very serious here without any direct proof. You posting to me the video is nothing. I know if Kevin thought that was a fishing game, he would react exactly the way he did to shut them all up. She is a woman. I could do that if I wanted to. I too am a widow with a child on my own here. I choose not to play the men for fools, though. They are humans just like we all are. The only thing different from her and I is I'm not beautiful and I do not have an accent that draws men to their knees. I want hard proof Kevin is a wife beater. Bring it if you have it. If you all do not have the evidence, then I do not want to be involved in this game any longer. Stand down and don't involve me. I would stand up for you the same way if somebody did this to you. Just think about this one. This all started because Chris banned you, correct? How did it get to this point? You and Doc were so close at one point. What changed? Who the fuck got in between you and Doc? You know there have been many wars started between men because of women. That is a damn shame. I am shaking my head that you allowed all this to happen. Please do not contact me with this stuff any longer. I see now why Doc has banned you and the simping crew of Terry. I think he's right to do that. It only causes separation and needless, very needless arguments. If you all have an issue with Doc, bring it to him and start your own streams. I don't understand why you are doing this at all to him. And I don't. I don't understand any of it. No one likes being talked down on. No one likes being talked about behind their back. No one likes to be accused of things they don't do, especially heinous things. You see the way he treats his kids. He's not turning around and sugarcoating that. He called the little guy big boy. He's good to them. He's good to his wife. And I'm serious. You all got a problem with him, bring it to him. And stop bashing me, by the way. It's really annoying. And I will block anybody who's involved in that shit. There was a couple people who defended me. I was going to say, nobody defends me to these people. But there are a couple people who defended me to those people. And you know what? I don't feel they have to even be put in that position to defend somebody when, to another person. The other thing is I did talk about it in a chat and talk about something in a PM with somebody else. And they said they had my back. And I said, no, you don't. And I mean that. I don't want people to take sides. Our raccoon bunker is supposed to be united. We're not supposed to be divided. And if we're divided, we're being just like the West and we're being just like they want us to be. So there's no division in me and nobody's got my back because I don't need people to get my back. All right, if you want to go and play your games and call me all sorts of names, I don't give a shit. Do it on your own time. Do it on your own Discord. Kevin's Discord's for, professional purposes. I got my own Discord. If I want to friggin' bash anybody, I'll go on my own Discord and start bashing them. I got my own streams. Howbeit they're not very good, but they're my own streams. So if I want to bash anybody, I'll just come on my own stream and bash them. I don't need to do that to anybody in the freaking bunker. I love Kevin too much to do that to him, and I respect him too much. Now, potatoes. Potatoes. Who says potato? I do. This is the way I look up things when I'm doing stuff for health. Anybody can make a website and put it online. I have proven that time and time again. I got websites I can't even get into anymore to even delete them. And I've made my own. So, you can make up your own webline. Wikipedia, anybody can write in that. It's not the God's given truth. Anybody can make a website. It doesn't mean it's the God-given truth. I usually go on Google Scholar and try to pull out papers. Kevin actually showed me how to get papers differently too. And I go on this. It's a 5-page read, yes. But it's loaded with information on the nutrients of potatoes and health. And it also sums up a lot of those studies that we get. And this one actually says the problems with those studies and what they did right and what they did wrong. And, it actually lists the references at the end. You can actually go and probably look up all these studies. And if you can't get the papers, I can show you how to get them. Okay? Because I can get mostly all of these papers. Okay? This is the research this person did. All these papers are in this article. Are what's in this article. So when you're going online and you're looking for something and they say study, look for the link to the study. If it brings you to another page in their page, then it's not really a very viable place to be looking for your nutrition information and whether or not it's true. Why did I pick the potato to do? Because potatoes are cheap. They're easy to grow if you need to grow your own fruits and vegetables. And they are very good for you, regardless of what other websites will tell you, even within the realms of diabetes type 2. They do have toxic properties, which we will discuss. I highlighted what I want to read to you in the abstract, and I'll link this. Like I said, I'll link this after I'm done. I'll link this in the description, because this is under my files right now in my computer. You're not going to be able to have access to it. So I'll get you the exact paper. It's published online December 2018, so it's a fairly recent publication. And there's only one person, because it's not really a study, it's just summarizing all these other studies. All right, the abstract goes, potatoes have been a dietary staple in the United States and the world for centuries. Their hardiness, economy, and nutrient density render them an invaluable crop. Potatoes contribute key nutrients to the diet, including vitamin C, potassium, and dietary fiber. Despite their nutrient density, their impact on human health remains somewhat controversial. Animal studies and some human research indicates that potatoes and potato nutrients may positively impact risk factors for chronic disease, including blood pressure, blood lipids, and inflammation. Conversely, more observational data linking potato consumption to an increased risk of weight gain and type 2 diabetes, perpetually due to the potato's high glycemic index. This review provides an overview of the nutrient content of potatoes, as well as a critical evaluation of existing research examining potatoes and potato nutrients in health and disease states. All right, and then it says the same thing in Spanish. I'm assuming. I'm not bilingual unless it's, a little bit of French. It just looks Spanish to me. All right. What did I take out of this? Today's roots and tubers are the third largest carbohydrate food source in the world. It's half of all the root crops. It's nearly half of all the root crops consumed. And the key nutrients to the diet includes vitamin C, potassium, and dietary fiber. There's some limited evidence from observational studies linking the potato consumption to an increased risk of weight gain and type 2 diabetes, purportedly due to their high glycemic index. That's the introduction. All right. Now, as far as macronutrients are classified as the starchy vegetables, highlighting their predominant macronutrient is carbohydrate. And predominant type of carbohydrate is starch. It's a starchy vegetable. Now, a small portion of the starch found in potatoes is resistant to enzymatic degradation in the small intestine, and thus it does go to the large intestine. Essentially intact. This resistant starch is extensively fermented by the microflora in large intestine, including short chain of fatty acids, which have been shown to lower the pH of the gut, reduce toxic levels of ammonia in the GI tract, and act as prebiotics by promoting the growth of beneficial colonic bacteria. Emerging resource in the animal models and some limited human studies suggest that resistant starch may enhance satiety. I can't even pronounce that word. Satiety positively affect the body composition, favorably impact blood lipid and blood glucose levels, and increase the amount of blood good bacteria in the colon. That word that I can't pronounce just means it makes you feel full faster. Potatoes contain 2 of 5 subcategories of resistant starch. You got 2, which is found in predominantly raw potatoes. 3, that is formed when potatoes are cooked and cooled at the starch such that the starch gelatinizes and retrogrades. Okay. And baked potatoes has more of the RS than boiled potatoes. Also, on average, chilled potatoes, whether regular, originally baked, or boiled, contain the most resistant starch, followed by chilled and reheated potatoes and potatoes served hot. Now, in addition to resistant starches, potatoes contain dietary fiber, 2 grams in a 5.3 ounce potato, 7% of the daily amount of value that we need. It's contained in both the flesh and the skin. And in here, we will read that most of your nutrients, amazingly, are found more in the flesh than in the skin. And we were always told that there's more nutrients in the skin than in the flesh. All right, we'll get back to these diagrams. Potato crude protein content is comparable to that of any other root and tuber staples, with approximately 2 to 4 grams in a medium potato. Potatoes contain all 9 essential amino acids and thus are complete protein. A recent study examining the protein and amino acid content of commercially available plant-based protein isolates found that potato protein was superior to the other plant-based and was similar to animal-based proteins in terms of essential amino acid content. Micronutrients. Potatoes contain a variety of essential vitamins and Minerals, most notably vitamin C and B6, and the minerals potassium, magnesium, and iron. B vitamins, riboflavin, thiamine, and folate are a good source of B6. Potassium is a mineral that is underconsumed by the majority of Americans by only 3%, meeting their daily requirement. And this is amazing because I always heard you want potassium, you eat bananas. But no. Potatoes provide one of the most concentrated sources of potassium, significantly more than those foods commonly associated with being high in potassium, such as bananas, oranges, and broccoli. Research suggests it is one of the most affordable vegetables in the National School Lunch Program. Unless your kid is a diabetic, and even then, depends on what you put on the potato. Potatoes aren't going to hurt them. They're not going to make them gain weight. It's what you put on the potatoes that make you gain weight. Potatoes will fill you up quicker, so they will feel full quicker, and their little tummies will be like, oh, I can't eat no more. As a matter of fact, at Thanksgiving, what do? I will boil my potatoes at Thanksgiving, and I'll take and put ginger root in a tea strainer, and while it's boiling, I'll chop it up and everything, and while the potatoes are boiling, the tea strainer's in there boiling with it, so that the after effects of the dinner, you're not going to get that tummy ache, and most people do not get that tummy ache after dinner. They're still full, but the tummy ache's not there. So that's a thing I did purposely, to make it so that people's tummies didn't hurt after Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, now a medium potato with skin provides 48 milligrams of magnesium, and recent research indicates potatoes contribute 5% of the total magnesium intake in diets of Americans. A common misconception when it comes to potatoes' nutrition is that all nutrients are found in the skin. While skin does contain approximately half of the total dietary fiber, the majority of the nutrients are found in the flesh, like I just discussed with you. I thought that was really neat to learn. Surprise, surprise. We're always told that it's in the skin, but it's actually in the flesh. Now let's go on to phytonutrients. Potatoes also contain a variety of phytonutrients, most notably carotenoids and phenolic acids. Carotenoids, I think the most prevalent one that I can think of is vitamin A. The vitamin A plants, like the oranges plants, meaning carrots and sweet potatoes. Largest contributor of vegetable phenolics to the American diet. Carotenoids such as lutein, zeaxanthin, and biolaxanthin are found mostly in yellow and red potatoes, although small amounts are also found in the white potatoes. Total carotenoid content of potatoes ranges from 35 to 795. 100 grams fresh per 100 grams fresh weight. I don't know what that symbol is. So we'll have to just think of that. I'll look it up after this. I didn't look it up, and I should have. Dark yellow cultivators contain approximately 10 times more carotenoid than white flesh cultivars. Anthocyanins are phenolic compounds that are widely distributed among flowers, fruits, and vegetables, and impart colors ranging from shades of red to crimson and blue to purple. The anthocyanins in the greatest amounts in potatoes include acylated puninidin, glycosides, purple potatoes, and acylated pelargonidin glycosides, red and purple tomatoes, brown, um, cholerogenic acid, a colorless polyphenolic compound, is a secondary plant metabolite and constitutes up to 80% of the total phenolic content of potato tubers. I'll get through that. You know, the more papers I read aloud, the better off I'd be able to pronounce these words. I don't read them aloud, so I have trouble pronouncing. Finally, quercetin. That's something that Kevin had me taken when I had SARS. That with the zinc. Is a flavonoid found in the highest amounts in red and russet tomatoes, and I love russet tomatoes. Those are my favorite. And has demonstrated antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties both in vitro and in vivo. And if you don't know what in vitro is versus in vivo is in a test tube, but in vivo means in the human body. Further research is needed to determine what role, if any, these compounds may play in mitigating inflammatory responses in humans. Glycocolloids. All right. These are the bad chemicals in potatoes. People will tell you raw potatoes are not good because of these. It's toxic. I looked it up, and I'll finish this up and I'll tell you what. Basically, what it said was the more green that you have on potato, because I've seen green potatoes before. I know everybody has seen a green potato, you know, one that's not fully ripe, basically. The more of that you see, the more you get of these. They're produced in potatoes during germination and serve to protect the tuber from pathogens, insects, parasites, and predators. The primary glycocolloids in domestic potatoes are that word in that. It's an X, but it's not an X. It looks maybe half infinity. It's a fishy sign. No, I gotta look that up too. Cacoconine and solanine, and are found in the highest levels in the outer layers of potato skins. That's why we peel potatoes. Their levels, that word, glycocolloid levels, can vary greatly in different potato cultivators and may be influenced post-harvest by environmental factors such as light mechanical injury and storage. Small potatoes also tend to contain higher levels of glycocolloids per unit weight than larger ones. Makes sense. In high concentrations, glycocolloids are toxic to humans if ingested. Indeed, a number of human case studies have documented illness, most notably gastrointestinal effects such as nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramping, and diarrhea. Okay, I did ingest two potatoes to test this theory out, and let me tell you, yeah, I had the last two, so it was a rough couple days. Well, 24 hours. It was a rough, but keep in mind, in lower levels they're not going to do that, and in lower levels it would probably be beneficial because it helps the good flora. What it does is it fills you up. They're not digestible. Nothing's extracted in a raw potato. A lot of it's not extracted. It's not digestible, and it actually feeds your good bacteria in your gut. And it helps them to flourish. And you could tell when I went to the bathroom that, yeah, it had a foam to it. So it was fermenting. So, and even death due to the ingestion of significant amounts. You can die from it. But a little amount isn't going to hurt you, and it's actually going to be beneficial to your gut bacteria. What constitutes a significant amount varies by country and whether it's an amount is an amount consumed. Okay. Now, toxic dosage range from 2 to 5 milligrams or kilograms of body weight. It goes by your body weight. It doesn't go by anything else. Whereas a fatal dose is around 3 to 6 kilograms of body weight. Potential toxicity may depend on whether or not the glycocolloids are ingested in several small chronic doses or in larger acute doses. The latter, which seems to be more toxic, which I did the latter. The dummy that I was. Similar to other plant phytonutrients, glycocolloids not only have toxic effects but also beneficial effects, including cholesterol-lowering, anti-inflammatory, anti-allergical, and anti-pyretic effects. Ooh, there's a word. Research also suggests that the glycocolloids have antibacterial and anti-proliferative cancer cells properties in vitro, meaning in test tubes. However, these effects have not been studied in vivo sufficiently. All this information notwithstanding, it bears emphasizing that amounts of glycocolloids in potatoes available for human consumption are generally low, in removal of sprouts, the eyes, and peeling of the tissue approximately 3 to 4 millimeters from the outside before cooking removes nearly all of the glycocolloids from the potato. So you're not really getting them unless you do what I did and you eat them raw with the peel on. Alright, potatoes have been okay. I'm going to let you read that if you so choose. We know the potatoes in the American diet. The only thing I want to say is potatoes in American diet and nutrition and health is normally a potato is consumed as French fries in fast food stores. And when I was on my, training with the potato, it's a starchy vegetable. When you had a potato, you did not have a bread. So what you do is you have your burger and your fries. You got two things of bread. You got your burger, 2 things of bread, and fries. You're really consuming too much of your carbohydrates. So if you have a potato, you're not supposed to have the bun. You have carb, a protein, and a lot of vegetables. Okay, so that's your thing, And you keep the portions small. Like I said, the potato is actually a good thing when it fills you up. It's just like you can have a apple. Apple seeds are poisonous if you consume them. But the apple itself is almost like, I would venture to say the potato fills you up better than an apple. But if you drink a glass of water with an apple, my friend that was on her diet, and I trust her with this, you fill yourself up pretty good with a 1 8-ounce glass of water and having an apple. And, the potatoes, the same thing. I mean, it fills you up. And I'm trying to get my stomach to be smaller. So, anyways, that's the problem with the American diet, was we don't stick to that one starchy vegetable or carbohydrate. And if you have a carbohydrate, you're not supposed to have the starchy vegetables. Meaning, if you have the bun, you don't have the potatoes. You do not have rice. You do not have potatoes. You do not have peas, corn. They're all starchy vegetables. So you really want to watch what you're putting on your plate. The other thing is if we eat too much of it, our stomachs get bigger. We want to keep our stomachs the size of our fist. And when you keep eating it, you keep stretching it, So that's one of the problems. Okay, so high blood pressure and hypertension. Does it help it? It's estimated that 29 to 32% of American adults suffer from hypertension. Okay, diets low in sodium and rich in potassium may reduce the risk of hypertension and stroke. Okay, now we just said the potato has a lot of potassium in it. So, are potatoes good for it? Yes, because diet rich in potassium. Now, if you're putting salt on your potatoes, then it's going to turn it into something different. Because you're adding the salt. It's what you add to these things. It's not these things themselves. Gravy, potatoes and gravy. Potatoes with cheese on it. I'm not going to say potatoes with broccoli because that's good, and the broccoli's good for you too. But then some people like to put bacon or bacon bits on it with cheese, sour cream, butter, load it with butter, chili. So I would venture to say with all this, honestly, it depends on what you're putting on the potato and how you're cooking the potato. That makes a significant difference on whether or not it impacts your health the way it's talking about here. Because in all these studies, it's saying, well, we'll read on. Postmenopausal women found that high potassium intake is associated with lower risk of all stroke and I can't say this word either, ischemic stroke, as well as cause mortality in older women, particularly those who are not hypertensive. Very few studies have specifically examined the role of potatoes in your blood pressure regulation or hypertension treatment, meaning you got things out there claiming that they do, and there's not enough studies being done, basically. We need more. We need more studies on just done right, based on the potato only, not stuff you put on it. Let's face it, a lot of people like greasy French fries, in grease and lard. So, and now we got air frying out there. What do we do with that? And microwaving. How do we know how much potassium is released in that? Well, they have a study with microwave, but I don't know about air frying. So, and some of the we'll get to it, but some of the some of the ways you cook these particular things will actually increase your potassium in the potato that you're eating, and some of them decrease it. It is associated with a lower risk for hypertension in men, but the study recommends substituting non-starchy vegetables for potatoes in order to, do this. It actually indicates that it's beneficial for the 2 female cohorts to do that and not the men. In the male cohort, substitution non-starchy vegetables for potatoes actually increase the risk of hypertension. Imagine that. It increased the risk for high blood pressure. So we need more studies like that to see whether or not, and why it did that with men and not women, and vice versa. So all the studies we have can only show an association to it and not a causation. It doesn't cause it. You can only associate it. But it's dependent on how the study's done, and many studies out there, you got to question their means. That's what I'm learning from Kevin. In contrast to the above described epidemiological, I should be able to pronounce these words if I'm going to do this. I'll get better as I go along. Epidemiological study, two published human experimental trials indicate that potatoes may favorably impact blood pressure. So it might have a positive impact. It depends on what you're putting on it, I would say. A low sodium, high potassium diet rich in fruit and vegetables. Potatoes are your highest, basically, probably the highest, potassium food I can think of. It's higher than in bananas. A high calcium diet rich in low fat dairy foods with moderate sodium, high potassium, high calcium diet, high in fruits, vegetables, and low fat dairy foods for 4 weeks. Eat a potato a day. That's what I do, honestly. And I've noticed a difference whether or not I'm tired if I eat that potato. But it has to be baked. Because if I eat the potato and it's raw, I had issues. I had those funny issues like they talked with that chemical. But like I said, you know, I would eat raw potato as I would be cutting them up, though. Grandma always did, so I do it. All right, weight management and obesity. Overweight and obesity. I have the sniffles. Overweight and obesity have increased significantly during the last 3 decades, both in the U.S. and globally. And it's true. Except for in Japan where it's illegal. And don't ask me about sumo wrestlers. It's really not illegal. It's I guess there's an overweight tax. If we were taxed on being overweight, do you think any of the Americans would lose weight on purpose if we had an obesity tax? Japan has that. I thought that was neat to learn. Japanese people are actually just mentored into losing weight, so that nobody's really been is arrested for it. Although it's generally accepted that dietary patterns along with other key lifestyle behaviors are more important than single foods when it comes to obesity and weight management. Americans, potatoes have been singled out both in research and popular press as being somehow uniquely obesogenic. There's a word for you. Is it obesogenic? Now, it's an association, not a causation again. It's easy to jump to the conclusion that these foods cause the weight gain. But again, these studies weren't done with just solely the potato. You know, what we don't know what's put on them. Loading them up with butter and salt and pepper and or you know, like I said, you know, people like loaded potatoes, you know, it's not good for you except for maybe once a year even. Or once every 6 months, but not every day. Maybe I'll go on a potato diet. Where the only real starchy vegetable or carbohydrate I have is indeed the potato in different forms. See if I can lose a little bit of weight and get my stuff in order. Recently published systemic... No, I've never read anything to where somebody went on a potato diet. A recently published systematic review sought to scientifically summarize the existing research regarding the relationship between potato intake and obesity. Okay, now 2 of the 5 studies examined showed a positive association with measures of adipositivity. However, both studies had moderate risk of bias due to methodological weakness. Their methods weren't perfect. The authors concluded that existing epidemiological research does not provide convincing evidence to suggest an association between intake of potatoes and risks of obesity. We don't know if it's obesogenic. I like that word, obesogenic. Nonetheless, there is evidence to suggest that potatoes do not need to be excluded from a weight management diet. Now, before I didn't really look up that word, the satiating. Here I said, oh, gee, satiating. I gotta look up to see what that means. Just means to satisfy a desire or appetite to the full, meaning you fill up. Okay, that's why I put that there in red. Research from a single meal study suggests that boiled potatoes are more satiating than equal calorie portions of other carbohydrate-rich foods like rice, bread, and pasta. Like I said, I'm thinking about going on a diet of just potatoes with different vegetables and maybe the little portion of meat I'm supposed to have. I got a scale up and I bought one over the Christmas time. All right, so where does that bring us? Glycemic response and type 2 diabetes. Because of their carbohydrate content and supposedly high glycemic index, potatoes are not only frequently restricted in diabetic dietary guidance, but are also implicated to development of the disease. While there is some limited epidemiological evidence suggestion an association between high glycemic index foods, including potatoes, and diabetes, there are no clinical experimental trials demonstrating cause and effect. They don't know. Controlling for BMI is important because of overweight. Obesity is primarily risk factor for type 2 diabetes. Meaning, it's your fat to lean muscle ratio on your body itself that is important and gives you the risk factor for the type 2 diabetes. It's really not what you're eating. It's more along the lines of whether or not you have enough muscle to fat ratio. Your fat's supposed to be less than your muscle. You can be thin and still have a higher BMI, meaning you have more fat than muscle on your bones. So all these people thinking that skinny is the only way to go and they're starving themselves is not doing it the right way. You need to build muscle mass and then have your muscle mass a little bit more than your lean muscle mass more than your fat. That's where you're supposed to have 5% body fat. You're not supposed to get into a size 1 pants though. Unless that's your body type. And I believe in body types. I don't believe in that height and weight scale. I believe in body types. I don't believe in, all that. Because different people have different body types. Some people have more muscle than fat. And muscle weighs more than fat. So a person who has more muscle than fat can weigh 130 and look like they're supposed to when they're only 4 foot 10 inches. That's why I don't agree with that chart. So anyways, our diet again is really need to be being overhauled in the West. And that's just that. So it's not really, we're trying to take and put band-aids on things when we're supposed to be looking at everything. There are no currently published clinical trials examining potato consumption as a causative factor in the development of diabetes. None. Several studies cannot show cause and effect. It bears in mind to tell you again. Only an association. Moreover, it is difficult to tease out the effects of single foods from larger dietary patterns and may make any definitive conclusions relative to the risk of type 2 diabetes. I say keep the potato in, just don't put the extra butter and salt and don't put sour cream on it. Don't put cheese on it. Cheese will kill your diet. You go to your fridge and you get that one piece of cheese to eat. That's calories. That's going to put weight on you faster than a potato will. Okay? One slice of cheese eaten by itself. Don't do it. Don't put the cheese on it. Don't put the bacon on it. I had to make myself like onions. Onions are good for your blood. I do not have clogged arteries to this day. because I made myself palate onions. I made my taste buds like onions. I forced it to like onions. I kept saying I love onions that are cooked. And now I like them even raw when I used to not like onions. It's the same thing with a potato. Our minds play tricks on us. It's like those those basketball players. What they do is they'll sit there and they'll imagine themselves making the basket time and time and time again. And then they'll go up and do it. Same thing with what you like and what you don't like. I eat to live. I don't live to eat. I need to eat what is healthy for me, not what I like. It just sounds bad. So I make myself, if I don't like plain potatoes, I'll say, plain potatoes. Oh, God, I love them. And I'll make myself like them. The only thing I cannot do that with is mushrooms. Mushrooms are gross. The texture is gross. It's ugh. Anyways, gut health. While there's currently no official definition for gut health, in an article published in the peer-reviewed journal Biome Central Medicine, Bischoff listed some specific signs of gastrointestinal health. All right, and you can read all this throughout. Potatoes contain a number of nutritional components which may play a role in supporting gut health. Like I said, there are those carbohydrates that can't be digested, so they feed your good bacteria in your gut, and they take over. And you know what I thought was interesting to learn is that in the oh God, what is that called? The appendix isn't necessarily a useless item. I mean, it's supposed to harbor your good, help house your gut bacteria, your good gut bacteria. So, feeding that and having it be able to like push everything out that's not good for it. I mean, I haven't had gas all day today. So I think it did something good for me, pushing out all that stuff. Even though I felt sicker than a dog, but it did its role. It was kind of like when I read that, what is that, scallions or, no, chives. It's in the onion group anyways. Chives, they are used to treat intestinal worms. So I'll sometimes just go outside and get my chives and I'll cut them up and I'll eat a bundle of them. And yes, for the day it's kind of, okay, I got to stick to the bathroom. But and at the end of the day, I feel better. So potatoes are gluten-free. They're a key source of nutrient-dense carbohydrates in the diets of those with celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. So they're very good for those two things. They're gluten-free. Potatoes provide a number of those nutrients and thus are a key food for someone needing or wanting to follow gluten-free or gluten-restricted diet. That's kind of cool, huh? In conclusion, the potato has been a dietary staple for centuries and remains a popular and frequently consumed vegetable today. Potatoes contribute important nutrients to the diet, including potassium, vitamin C, and dietary fiber. Observational data indicate that potato consumption is associated with an increase in overall vegetable consumption and dietary nutrient density among children, teens, and adults in the United States. Research suggests that the potato nutrients and components may have favorable impacts on blood pressure, satiety, and 412 gut health. However, data from observational studies examining the effects of consuming whole potatoes on body weight and disease risk remain controversial. There is currently a lack of experimental data regarding the impact of potato consumption on obesity weight management, and or diabetes. Thus, randomized controlled intervention trials investigating the effects of tomato consumption on various health outcomes and disease states are needed to better isolate potato consumption from other known risk factors. Until then, dietary guidance should continue to stress the importance of healthy eating patterns that consist of a variety of vegetables, including nutrient-dense potatoes. Now, what we skipped over are the nutrients. And I did that for a reason, because, you know, I did potato for, like I said, I love potatoes. They're cheap. They're easy to grow, too. I did grow potatoes when I grew them. The calories are listed on here. You can, like I said, I'm going to actually link this after I'm done with this video and after it processes. The calories are here. Total CHO, fiber, fat. There's no fat in these. And protein. There is protein in potatoes, and it's the good protein like we discussed just now. So it's the protein found in meats. So that's a good thing. Now, when you get here, what I want you to notice is the numbers going up and down. Okay? For vitamin C, when you cook your potatoes, a raw potato is 27. Notice the numbers, for the most part, all go down when you're cooking them. So, and substantially too with the baked with skin. That's to me, I'm like, wow, why does that have that effect? And then boiled without the skin is a 9. So why does boiled with the skin is 18? It's the same as baked without the skin. I mean, it's really weird. But I want you to look at the K plus potassium. I think that's potassium, yeah. When you bake it, look, it goes up. For the most part, a lot of times it'll go up. So you really, really, really want to look at the nutrients. You got iron, zinc, magnesium, calcium, folate, vitamin B6, B3, B2, B1, vitamin C. Okay, so you know, it tells you what happens to the vitamins. They actually, when you bake them with skin, the calcium goes up. With the russet potatoes, see? So this is the type of sources I get instead of just looking on a website, because look at the different ways and look at all the different things you can get. That's my stream for today. I'm sorry I had that little rant, but I tell you, you know, there's 7 things God hates, and one of them is sowing discord among brethren. And what happens with what Main Pain's doing is sowing discord among brethren. And we can't have that happen, you know. I mean, I hate that too, and I hate gossip. So I'm not trying to gossip. I'm just putting you aware that it's out there. I'm going to get going. My daughter's in. She was just making that funny noise. And I got to see what my cats are doing. And I hope you guys have a sparkling evening. It's 7:37. I'm going to go see when Kev is streaming, if he will be streaming tonight. And then I got to start doing some work. I hope you all have a great night and an even better tomorrow. Bye-bye.